Hello, Fairview, and welcome to the second episode of Season Ticket. I'm Michael.
And I'm Max. The Fairview football team lost their game to Vermilion, but JV won their second straight game, and they take on Bay this Friday.
The boys and girls soccer teams both lost to Buckeye in close games. The boys JV team beat Lutheran West on Monday, and the girls and boys play Firelands on Wednesday.
The volleyball game on Tuesday, where the freshman team went to 6-0 in the season, but JV and varsity lost.
Which of these college football teams, Max, do you think have the best chance at the playoff? USC, Georgia, LSU, Virginia Tech, or Notre Dame?
I think Georgia, just because their schedule helps them out playing in the SEC. And I think Gurley's going to run them to the college football playoff.
Yeah, definitely, and I'm going to have to disagree here. I'm going to go with Virginia Tech. I'm staying away from the SEC and Notre Dame's schedule playing Florida State and then USC in the tough Pac-12. I think all those schedules are just too tough, and Virginia Tech's hardest game is arguably either North Carolina, Pitt. That's it. So Virginia Tech really has an easy schedule, and I think if they're undefeated, they're going to easily make it into the first college football playoff.
Still got to beat Florida State in the ACC title game, though.
Yeah, but I'd take a one-loss Virginia Tech team over the two-loss SEC team. And Ray Rice was suspended indefinitely for his violation of the league's good conduct policy. There is a video of him hitting his fiancée at the time and now his wife. Max, what do you think about this?
I think he's just a moron. There's no need to hit her. You're much bigger and stronger. It's just no need to hit her like that.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. And I actually looked at some suspensions in the past and saw that comparing it to the Josh Gordon suspension, there were actually 3 players that were suspended all year for the drug policy. And at the start, Rice was only suspended 2 games, which makes no sense how a drug policy can be 8 times worse than what Rice did. And I also looked at the Ben Roethlisberger case, and he was only suspended 4 games. And then Terrell Pryor was suspended 5 games for his involvement in the Ohio State scandal, which I think is crazy compared to Rice being suspended for 2 games. And it just didn't add up. But now there's going to be changes. Rice is suspended indefinitely, and I think it's good for football. What about you?
Yeah, the Terrell Pryor thing was kind of a joke. He sold his own stuff and got suspended 5 games, which doesn't make sense to me. And then Robert Mathis was suspended 4 games, and he took a drug to help him and his wife have a kid, so it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Oregon beat Michigan State in a very exciting football game with both teams showing good flashes of excellence.
Virginia Tech beat Ohio State in a big upset with Ohio State quarterback J.T. Barrett throwing 3 picks in the game.
UCLA survived the scare versus Memphis, with UCLA having defensive struggles.
USC beat Stanford in another very close game between the 2 teams, with Stanford being very sloppy inside the red zone, and USC kicker Andre Herlihy hitting the game-winning field goal for the 2nd straight year against the Cardinal.
Notre Dame blew out Michigan in the final meeting between the 2 rivals for now, with Michigan getting shut out for the first time since 1984.
Nebraska survived a scare between McNeese State and FCS school, with Amir Abdul receiving a huge touchdown at the end of the game. It was a Heisman-like moment. And this game and many others, like the Kansas State-North Dakota State game last year, show the power of FCS teams versus very competitive schools.
BYU blows out Texas 41-7 in a huge win for BYU, who looked very impressive in their 2 games this season.
The Big Ten had an awful week, with many of their top teams struggling versus very poor competition, and some of the lower teams lost to MAC schools. This brings the question if the Big Ten will even have anyone in the Final Four playoff.
In the NFL, the Browns played a close game with the Pittsburgh Steelers, coming back from down 24 in the second half and losing in the final seconds.
The Colts lost to the Broncos on Sunday Night Football, with Peyton Manning having a good game for the Broncos.
On Monday night, Calvin Johnson exploded for a huge game, while the Cardinals got a big win versus the Chargers.
That will wrap it up for the second episode of Season Ticket. Remember to be back Friday as we preview all the big games in sports, including South Carolina versus Georgia.